up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating as we are wrapping up our off-season with these bonus episodes. It means we're ramping up for season 13, which means we're ramping up for another season of digging into the whys of people's behavior. But in conjunction with that, we give you actionable takeaways once you figure out why people do the things they do and say the things that they say.
So it's basically the why, and the how. Just rolls off your tongue, right?
It just sounds like a grade school song. The why, and the how.
It definitely should be an episode of Schoolhouse Rocks. I can picture it now.
Me too.
With all the animated. Yeah. This is modern dating.
With a peach, and an eggplant.
Yeah.
The peach is like the why, and the eggplant's like the how.
You and I have a dream to create a peach and eggplant animated series.
It'll blow up.
Maybe we'll just have like puppets. That could be like our makeshift till we do it. We can like record together. You could be the peach, I could be the eggplant, or I'm open to switching too if you want to do the other.
Yeah, I'm open-minded. I can always.
I'm not attached to either.
I'm very
one.
fluid. I'm very fluid.
Hey, one day I could be the peach. One day you could.
You
be
never
the
know what
eggplant.
you're feeling like. Yeah, some days
Exactly.
I feel a little round, and some days I feel hard. So just depends on.
But they should have a consistent voice and tone. That would be really funny if people could just like envision this now with our voices. I guess people don't see our faces anyways, so it's not that different.
I do think it's a great idea.
We're
peach,
doing it.
The peach and the eggplant.
We can make a children's book. The opportunities are endless.
Yes, parents would hate us, but
I was just thinking all the parents listening right now. They're probably like, how do I pre-order on Amazon?
You don't have to have the birds and the bees conversation with your kids anymore.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to quit this podcast to do. We're starting a sex ed company starring the peach and the eggplant.
We can keep the podcast. It could be a spinoff. We could do both.
A spinoff, yes. Once your kids learn about the birds and the beads, turn them to our podcast where we can talk about anal beads and sex parties.
It's a full funnel distribution.
Full dysfunctional funnel.
We'll get you in that marketing funnel, don't you worry.
You're getting
dateable now, and then once you have kids, you're ready for this book. It's going to all work out.
You know, it's not a bad idea because I'm not a parent. I can't speak for parents, but I would want to think that you would want you would want your kids to ask you all the stupid questions as early as possible. So don't you want your kids coming to you being like, "Mommy, what's a dildo?" or "What's FODA?" and "Daddy, do you go to sex parties?" like when they're 5, so that you don't have to answer those questions when they're 18. It gets a little embarrassing. When they're young, you're just like, yeah, they're ignorant. So just have them get all the questions out of the way.
I saw on TikTok, where I get the source of all truth.
You mean CNN? CNN for
There was
Julie.
somehow I got into one of those get rich quick hacks type TikTok channels, and there was one all about children's books, creating them and putting them on Amazon because the effort is actually quite low if it's just a counting book. But I don't think anyone's going to be in this niche, so we could totally own the adult children's content niche. Is that I just made it up?
Children. Inappropriate adult children's books that need adult supervision to read.
Yes, rated R children's books. That's an oxymoron.
Or it's got hidden messages for the adults that the kids might not pick up on.
It's like SpongeBob.
Right. Ish. The Simpsons ish,
Exactly. My parents never let me watch The Simpsons.
Yeah, because it's extremely raunchy and inappropriate. But you would have never picked up on that when you were a kid. I don't think.
Yes, my mom let me watch 90210.
Oh.
I never understood why, but then I rewatched it all with my old roommate at one point, and it starts off super wholesome. So I think when I started, she's like, this is a nice wholesome show. And then season 2, it gets raunchy. It switches real fast people were fucking a lot in Beverly Hills 90210. That was not okay for a child to watch. And my parents are definitely not like the type that would be okay with that.
Well, they probably need to write a wholesome first season just to sell the show. And once they get you hooked, they're going to fuck you up.
Right.
That's
So
all
like,
they
let's get all the audience, and then we'll see who really stays. And then they're...
It's the same thing with the energy drinks, you know? They get you in with that wholesome packaging. This will help you study better. But once you're hooked, you're like, oh, where's my Four Loko?
We were talking about Four Loko this weekend, actually, back in San Francisco after being on the East Coast. So it was fun to do that. And one of Yue and I's good friends was visiting, and she's going to be actually seeing Yue this week. So I got her first on her tour. And we went out, and we were talking about Four Loko came up, and she had no idea what we were talking about. And we were all so baffled that she didn't know what Four Loko was. And then we realized she had been abroad in Switzerland when it was the craze.
Oh, I see. Oh, she missed the boat on that. That came and went so fast.
It did. It was like illegal, right? By the end?
Well, kids were dying from it because it's a combination of alcohol and caffeine and probably just bad influence of everybody else around you. But that came and went really, really fast.
So you know what I saw actually today is that bars in San Francisco are going to maybe starting to require vaccination cards.
They should.
Yeah. And I feel like it's one of those things that if SF does it, it will probably start to trickle other places, like kind of like the straws and bags situation. But I mean, it makes sense. It's safe. It just definitely gives a divide between the vaccinated and unvaccinated, though.
But it's a health issue at this point, and we can't go on the honor system. It does not work. And also the CDC is so confusing with their guidelines that I think even unvaccinated people feel like it's okay to not wear a mask.
Oh, totally. Totally.
There's just too much confusion. I rather just hang out with the vaccinated people. Sorry, unvaccinated people.
Also, the shame of being in a bar and being the only one in a mask. I think people probably wouldn't do it out of that alone.
Yep. Well, I mean, there used to be a smoker's corner at bars. Now there's a unvaccinated corner at bars.
You're right. And then eventually it just became no smoking.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're shunned.
I could definitely see it going that way.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I've definitely met a few people who haven't been vaccinated and they weren't vaccinated for health reasons. Mm-hmm. And for, it's not political for them. They're not trying to make a statement. It's just that their doctors recommend that they don't get vaccinated. So what happens to these folks?
Right. I know people like that too.
Then I don't know, maybe there's just another alternative for them, or they just have to wear a mask, people. I still wear my mask. Just keep your mask on.
It sounds like that might not even be an option. What I read was vaccination card or proof of a negative COVID test. How annoying would it be to have to take a COVID test every time you wanted to go out?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just not going to go out at that point.
But with fake IDs, people are just going to get fake COVID tests.
Or fake vaccination cards. We were talking about this. It's a dingy piece of paper. It's not that hard to replicate.
It's not that hard to replicate.
A license is so much harder. It's totally going to be. It's already a thing. But if bars require it, definitely going to be a thing.
How horrible is this? I feel like people felt like we were back to normal, and things certainly felt like they were back to normal. This is not the end, folks. It's coming back. These variants, it's not just Delta variant. There's Lambda variant. There's Alpha. There's so many other variants out there, and we're just going to cycle through all of them. And I unfortunately experienced this a few weeks ago where an unvaccinated person was caught the Delta variant, and everybody around this person, including myself, had to go get tested and quarantine for a week. And I'm not gonna lie, it fucking sucked because I'm like, I'm responsible. But
I know. I'm so sick of hearing about this. I know it's one of those things, but anytime I'm just like, why won't it end? Why won't it end?
It's not going to end, Julie. It's not going to end.
You're always the bearer of bad news.
No,
You're the realist. You're the realist of the situation.
I'm real. Well, also just look at all the other countries. I look at China as like our crystal ball because they're about 6 to 8 months ahead of us, and they experience the same thing. So whatever they're going through right now, I feel like we're going to experience it.
You know,
there are going to be outbreaks.
To bring it back to dating, I have not heard of the divorce rates, though, in the U.S. like in China. That was headlines. Have you?
Yes.
It hasn't seen that much.
No, I have not. It wasn't, I haven't heard as much on that. I don't know.
No.
Maybe it's because divorces are just so normal in the U.S. that it's like not even worth reporting on. They're like, oh, it went from 50% to 53% after COVID.
Right. Or at the same time, maybe because the U.S. was never as stringent as the lockdowns were in other countries, it wasn't the same vibe. I know you were still with that person a lot, but it might not have been every second of the day type of thing.
I don't know. I would love to hear more about this if there are stats out there, because I've certainly heard of a few divorces around me as a result of COVID.
Interesting. Well, that is another reason why it is so important to pick the right partner, not just any partner. And
oh my God. Funny story for you, Julie. So I was at a wedding this weekend. I don't know if you saw my Instagram message.
Oh, I
to you.
did.
Okay.
I did. I asked you all about it because that wedding looked insane.
I went to a really awesome wedding, and we had a friend there who was a guest on our podcast. I will not mention their name.
She was anonymous. She was anonymous.
Yes. But it was really funny. At one point in the wedding, this man who was a guest at the wedding went up to her and said, "Do you recognize me?" And she's like, "I don't. What's your name?" And he said, "This is my name. This is where I'm from." And she's like, "Sorry, I have no idea. How do I know you?" And he's like, "We went on a date." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I go on so many dates. I really do not recognize you." And he's like, "Not only did we go on a date, but you also called me right after the date and set me up with your roommate, whom I dated for a little bit." And she's like, "Sorry, still doesn't ring a bell." Idea. How does that happen, Julie? Do you think you would remember everybody that you've gone on a physical in-person date with?
I think I would, face-wise.
Name-wise, maybe different.
Name-wise, no. But someone that I sat and talked to for a solid hour, I think I would remember.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past me not to.
But
so I don't want to say for sure.
Also, especially if you introduce them to your roommate, who also went on a few dates with them. I feel like that would be very memorable.
You know, there's some people I don't know why I thought of one random person came to mind, but I can't visualize them at all. So I wonder if I did run into someone, if it would trigger for me. I've definitely seen people on the street or at coffee shops before, and I recognize that I went on a date with them. It took me a little bit to place them of where I knew them from, but eventually I did.
It has to be in the right context. That I totally understand. Like, especially the dates you've been on where it's just quick, one and done drink kind of thing. Yeah, those might be harder to remember.
How far are we talking back? When did they go on a date? Because if it was 5 years plus, I might not, for sure.
I think it was 3+ years ago.
Okay. Do you think you would?
I think I would hope that I remember everybody that I've been on dates with, but I haven't been tested either. So there could be a chance. I'm thinking of this one guy I went on a date with that lasted maybe like 40 minutes. I don't remember his name. I think I would recognize his face, but it would have to be in the right context. So yes, I kind of get that. Maybe at a wedding, it would be a little out of context for me.
Yeah, we were just talking about this actually this weekend with our friend in town. she was reminiscing about this party that she basically got blacklisted from because of me. And you were there with me. You
Yes.
were there with me, Yue. You might remember this.
I
So
absolutely remember
It
this.
was a Blue Angels party, which is for Fleet Week. It's, questionable, but it's promoting the military, but they have an air show basically for anyone that isn't in SF. Do they do that in other cities?
Yeah.
I don't. Okay. So other people might know it. But what happens in San Francisco becomes this big event that people have people over to their rooftops and you watch the air show and it's a party. And this guy invited my friend to his house.
Yeah.
And then she invited me. And this was a Facebook event, but there were probably at least 100 people on there. At least. It might have even been more. So I invited Yue. I invited a few of our other friends. And we all came. We brought drinks with us.
Yep.
We didn't eat any of their food. All we did really is occupy a tiny spot of their roof.
Yep.
But this guy got so upset by it. And he got kind of mad at my friend, which I did feel bad about because it was her friend. I didn't know him. So I was trying to smooth it over at the end. And I went over to him and I said, I was like, it was so nice to meet you. Thanks for having us over. And he looked at me and he said, I have met you about 100 times. Are you fucking kidding me? He was so insulted. I just made it 20 times worse by saying that at the end. And I looked at him and I had no idea who he was. I don't recall meeting him once.
Yeah, so needless to say, we were never invited back.
Oh no, she was saying that she was we walked by his house, which is why it came up, and she said she's like, that guy will never invite me back to anything.
Well, also, do you remember I invited someone too?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just going to make a comment. If you put a public Facebook invite with over 50 people, you gotta imagine that people are going to invite people, especially on the day of the year that people are looking and proactively trying to find a rooftop. Make it private. Make it 30 people max.
Set the expectations. Make sure.
Yeah.
I've gotten so many party invites that say explicitly, please do not invite anybody else. This is a closed party, or our guest list is maxed out. But I agree. Set the right expectations. And yeah, we probably shouldn't make all these assumptions either, but whatever. We had a good time.
Although one of our friends recently had a party and it said, this is a small intimate gathering. My neighbors get upset when there's a lot of people. Uh-oh. And then there were 250 people on the invite.
Yeah, that's a small gathering.
Small intimate gathering. So
it's all relative.
It's all relative. It's all relative. But expectations, that is the most important thing in general. And in
relationships.
Yes. Good transition to this week's topic. This is going to be a good one. We're super excited to re-air this episode that we did with the Coffee Meets Bagel podcast, Save the Date with Dawoon King. And one of the reasons why we love this is because it answers all the questions that so many of you ask all the time in the Facebook group. How do I take conversations that happen on dating apps and turn them into IRL, actually meeting that person? It seems like such a foreign concept for whatever reason.
Yeah, the online to offline is something that all these dating apps are trying to help out with as well, right? Because if you think about it, once you take the conversation offline, they can no longer track. But they can track the point of when a conversation is able to go offline. And I think with a lot of these dating apps, what they end up seeing are these texting black holes of conversation, activity, and then absolutely fucking nothing. And we've all experienced that. So when we talk about dating intentionally, if your intention is to meet someone offline or meet them online and then take it offline, then we should figure out ways and steps to get people to meet you offline.
And I feel we've said this before. Not everyone in the world, in the dating world, listens to this podcast. They should.
They should.
But they don't. So all of you listening right now have a huge leg up on essentially, I don't like to call it competition, but it kind of is in a way, right? Like other people on the apps. I remember my boyfriend saying that he thought I was able to move it offline so well compared to other people that weren't making those, I guess, indicators that they wanted to do that. And that doesn't mean that you have to make all the moves and plan the dates and do all that piece, but just showing interest goes such a long way, and it makes the other person excited to, pursue it.
It's the Western culture is very much about conversation. And so we are all very good at conversation. I think that's why a lot of you go on great first dates or good enough first dates. But our culture is not very good at moving things along. I'm sure you've all been on Zoom calls at your companies where you just dwell on the same topic over and over. And you hear a lot of this. I just want to reiterate. I just want to repeat.
Yes.
Let me just say this again. And we do the same thing with dating. We love to hear ourselves talk, and we love the art of conversation, but we don't know how to move things along. So if you are able to do it, you are going to be able to apply that skill in every aspect of your life.
Mm-hmm. I think actually the dating world we're in now even gives more opportunities to move it forward, even if you want to take it slow. I think moving from dating app to text to a phone call to a video call actually feels like progression. So I remember I was talking to one of my best friends, and she was saying that she's back in school right now. She has limited time, and she was talking to this guy, and she said, I might not see him till 2 weeks from now. By then the connection's gonna die. And what I said to her is like, there's ways you can keep it moving or feeling like it's moving. Not to mention, since you have limited time, you may as well screen really well to see if this is who you want to spend your Saturday night with, considering you don't have all the time in the world. But they were able to do a phone call that broke it up, and then it didn't seem like it was 2 weeks. It felt like it was moving along and making progress. Progress is key.
Progress is absolutely the answer to everything when it comes to early dating. And I live by this rule. I live by the 1% rule. Every day, if you can make 1% progress in your conversation, in your relationship, in your conversations that you've had online, etc., then at least you can move everything along just 1% at a time. And 1% could mean different things to different people. But to me, a 1% could be like, I reached out with a text message just to ask if you're free on Saturday. Or I asked a question that helped me get to know you better. Just 1%, people. It's not that hard.
I think I hate the word normal, but I also love the word normal at the same time. I have a love-hate relationship with the word normal. Because I think I don't like defining anything as normal because I don't think there's one standard, but we've heard by so many people say that this podcast helps them feel like what they're going through is normal. And I do like it in that sense that it does make you not feel like there's something wrong with you. So that's my little 1 minute rant, about 30-second rant, not even a minute, on normal.
At least what we can provide for people is to let you know that you're not alone in any of this.
Yes.
Anytime you feel like, oh, I must be the only one going through this, or why is this happening to me? Just know, there are millions of other people who are going through the same thing. So, let's just make sure that we all know that we're not alone in everything that we're going through. What else has been going on? I feel like we had a hot girl summer for like a hot minute, and now we're back. And I feel that people are kind of reverting back to the initial confusion state of dating again. Do I feel safe to go out to date? Do I feel safe to going out to the bars to date? I don't know if you're sensing that, Julie. I'm sensing that here in LA. I feel like people are a little bit more cautious now, and they're stepping back a little bit, but back into confusion land.
I haven't noticed it with my friends that are actively dating or people that I've talked to, but I do think LA might be a little more maybe I think San Francisco is one of the fewer, is a smaller city, first of all, but also is one of the top, I think it was the first city that reached herd immunity. So maybe the feeling isn't as drastic. I know LA put the mask mandate first, and then San Francisco did after to follow suit, to be like precautious, but like, I don't know. I haven't noticed it as much though here.
Okay. We would love to hear from all of you. We want to hear from you regardless, but there are a couple things. One is, do you think you recognize everyone that you've been on dates with? We'd love to hear that.
Can you do a poll?
I want to do a poll. Yes, I'm going to do a poll. And I'm going to, the more I think about it, Julie, the more I'm leaning towards I probably wouldn't recognize some of the people.
I'm thinking that too.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was judging my friend so hard, and now I feel bad for judging her because I think I could possibly be in the same boat. So I'm going to put up a poll on Instagram, and the second poll, where I guess we just want to hear feedback. Do you feel like you're reverting back to the initial stages of confusion of dating again after COVID? And we're just chat with us in general. DM us on Instagram. We are pretty active on there. We are very Instagram active. So we love hearing from all of you there.
Yes, and another announcement, we are actually changing the structure a bit of the sounding board. And this is a great way to get all these questions that you have answered. We are going to be changing to a one-tier system. Right now we have 3 tiers. There's going to be 1 tier in the upcoming months. I think we're going to start this in September. So we're kind of giving a last call out now because the rates will be going up as well. So if you want to get in now, you will be locked at the mid-tier rate. That is the rate, the one that you would join. Or if you want to be at the upper tier, we will grandfather in those people as well. If you are at the $8 tier, you will get an opportunity to upgrade, but that one will be phased out a bit. And what we're doing, I think why we're pivoting, is virtual events have been amazing, but everyone is dying to get back out into the real world. And now when this is happening, a lot of dating questions are coming up. And in our upper tier, we offered coffee chats, and we've had amazing results with the people that have done that. It has transformed the way they view dating, the way they view themselves, the way they view potential partners. And we've seen noticeable shifts in the couple, like when did we launch Sounding Board? It was November. So since November, some of them have been with us, and we've noticed huge shifts from them. So we're hoping to bring this to even more people at an affordable price point. So instead of doing our virtual monthly events, we are going to be doing essentially office hours. I hate using the word office hours, but essentially drop in that you can ask your questions to Yue and I, and we can kind of walk you through where you're going. We piloted this last month on the events, and the people that came gave us such great feedback that this helped them significantly in their dating and relationships journey that they're on right this minute. So really exciting next evolution of the sounding board. I think that's a great way to put it. Sounding board 2.0, where we're going with this. So wanted to put this out as a call out though. So if you want to get in at the $18 a month rate, and again, you could cancel at any time. If you're finding like your situation has changed or it's not the right fit, you can do it in a year in advance at a discount, but you do not have to. So go to dateablepodcast.com/soundingboard, lock in that rates before we increase the rates in September.
Yes. This is always going to be so exciting because you all knew that we were going to keep iterating on this concept, and we really want to elevate the community aspect of it all. So this is going to be that next level of community building and for us to get to know you all a little bit better too.